founding members of the Anita Bloom Veterans Committee, who are going to be talking about empowering the leader in you. As Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. Tammy Jones, PVA National Vice President and co-chair of the Anita Bloom Committee, enlisted in the U.S. Air Force straight out of high school. Stationed in England at age 19, she had a motor vehicle crash that resulted in her spinal cord injury and left her a quadriplegic. During her initial rehabilitation at Stoke Mandeville, there in England, a social worker told her and her family that maybe she ought to talk to Paralyzed Veterans of America when she got back to the USA. And indeed, when she got to the James Haley VA Medical Center in Tampa, she did, and she has not looked back. Joining PVA nearly 3 decades ago, sorry, Tammy, to add that to your time. She's held almost every role in our organization at the chapter and national level, except president of our organization, and there's certainly still time for that. She advocates on Capitol Hill to highlight the unique healthcare needs of women veterans with spinal cord injuries and serves the VA, or represents PVA, on the VA Prosthetics Women Veterans Emphasis Group. She and her husband Dale enjoy riding their motorcycle and making the most out of each day there in San Antonio, Texas. Our other Anita Bloom Committee co-chair, who's also a national director, Ann Robinson, also hails from San Antonio, also a U.S. Army veteran. She's married to her husband Harry for 32 years, the mom to Justin and Rebecca, and Gigi to Shelby. She's a C456 incomplete quadriplegic, injured in active duty in 1999. She's lived 21 years in her chair. She graduated from the University of Phoenix in 2011 with a bachelor's degree, became active in the Texas chapter of PVA about 10 months after her injury, first as advocacy director, and has continued to serve PVA nonstop since that time. Like Tammy, she served in many different roles. She has lots of interest, including bocce, which is also a very favorite of mine, loves bowling, but she thinks being Gigi to that 4-year-old granddaughter is probably the best thing she knows. And Cheryl Lewis, RN, is a founding member of the Anita Bloom Committee. She was a member of the U.S. Army from 1979 to 1987, where she served on the search and rescue team. She was injured during a fall, is a retired registered nurse, currently working on a master's degree in business administration. She has over 35 years experience in the healthcare field. During her career, she served as nursing director in home health, hospice, and the VA. She's written policy procedure manuals for home health, hospice, and had many other administrative roles. She has served PVA also for 19 years. She's the national director and chapter president for the Bayou Gulfs chapter, serves on a variety of PVA committees, including the Resolution Committee, this committee, and the PVA Research Foundation. So welcome, ladies. And now I get an opportunity to ask some questions of these leaders that we hope might help some of the other people that are listening today move into leadership roles. We are always looking for leaders at PVA, and we especially are interested in having women leaders get involved in our many initiatives. So I'm going to put a question out there and ask each of you to answer it. And that's thinking back, and not just to your PVA experience, but to your life. When's the first time you thought you were a leader? How about you, Cheryl?
Well, Cheryl, hello. Hello, everyone. I'd have to say the first grade. I organized a group of girls here, the principal, to bring up the point that the guys were dunking at the water fountain, and it made a homework offense. So that was about the first time I became a leader, was first grade.
Absolutely. And Anne, how about you?
And I'm going to have to go with Girl Scouts. Highly involved as a child, and take on the roles and stuff as Girl Scouts, and that's where it's been. So
I think that was my first leadership role too. And Tammy,
Hi, Cheryl. Hi, everyone. I would say mine would probably, I could comfortably say high school. I was ROTC in high school, and I ended up being an operations officer, the third in charge there. So that's where I really went ahead and, I mean, I was an instigator. So, I mean, if you want to call an instigator a leader, that was from early on, but no.
I
I think
second
it's-
that.
Yeah, as a leader in a leadership position, I would say high school ROTC.
it was
I think leaders fall under a variety of different names.
mostly.
So what motivates, people are challenged, people have different roles in society, in organizations, in our families. Some are tacit leaders where they don't take the role officially, but they really are the leader, and everybody knows it. So but stepping out and taking a formal leadership role, a lot of people are concerned about that. What motivates you to be a leader? You want to start, Tammy?
Yes, I will give it a good try. The lady to the Miss Ann, she motivated me initially. Early, I mean, a few years back in the Texas chapter, I moved back to San Antonio, and I was like, I just want to be a sports and rec director. For many years, all I wanted to do was ultimately get to the goal of being a sports and rec director for a chapter. And and then unfortunately, our president passed away, and Anne proceeded to the presidency, and she asked me to step in as VP. And I was like, okay, thank you, but I'm not sure, because two ladies in charge of a chapter it's a lot to overcome. I mean, you look at it and it's intimidating, and then you don't know what kind of feedback you're going to get from the men of the organization. And it's not a bad thing. You just don't know, because we didn't have a lot of women leaders at that time. But motivating, Cheryl, what was it again?
What motivated you to be a leader?
That's it, exactly. Okay, yes, it was, yeah, and just making sure that the organization continues on the path that it's supposed to. Getting out there and making sure our members get what they deserve, get what they want, that kind of thing. That's my motivation. Just making sure that the people that need the help are getting the help that they need. So, Ann, Cheryl.
I was going to say, so Ann, you're a leader maker or a leader motivator. What motivated you to get involved in leadership?
Go to sleep. Well, it was kind of pushed upon me. In the beginning, it was pushed. They came and snagged me 10 months. While in the Army, that's what I did. I took care of the soldiers, but for PVA, they snagged me, and stepping into the roles, being a leader, it was the end results, I think, is what kept me stepping up higher and higher, is the end results. Because you take the group, you take one or two, and you guys, you lead them to a place where there's success, and you see the end results, and that's what motivates you to keep going back and keep taking on the challenges.
And how about you, Cheryl?
Well, I had someone motivate me in PVA.
That's good.
His name is Joe Romagnano. He is a past national president, and he was strict. I'm telling you, the man, he when he said something, you just ask how high, as they say in the service. he meant it. But one day he looked at me, he said, well, since you're going to be Willie's vice president, I had sat on the board for about 2 years by that time. And I said, excuse me? I had not planned to do that. I was like Tam, I had planned to, sports and rec, stay in the area, stay on the board. But he decided that I was going to be Willie Harvey, which was our last president before me, vice president. And I was Willie's vice president for about maybe a year before he died. So we lost both of them within a year of each other. And all of a sudden, I was president. And I was still national director. I held the national director title.
Okay. So everybody has a different leadership style. I think that I don't think there's big differences, honestly, in my experience between the styles that men use and women use. But I think developing our leadership style can sometimes be a challenge. So Cheryl, starting off with you, just could you describe your leadership style in 5 words?
Yeah, the 5 words, that's going to be difficult. We've been talking about that all day, or I have, and everybody's laughing.
That's why I said 5 words.
Yeah, I can't make it. I can make it in 12.
Okay.
What they call a direct autocratic coaching style. I like to motivate people to get moving and get some enthusiasm going in whatever project we're doing. And then I like to focus on the team to focus on the outcome of it. Everybody on the same page. So that's what they call a direct autocratic coaching style. I believe we all use a little of all the styles that we adapt.
Absolutely. And Anne, you talked before about outcomes. What would you say your leadership style is?
Okay, so we've had this conversation trying to figure out our styles. I'm not going to say what my husband said what my style was, but I'm going to say flexible. I learned a long time ago that every situation calls for a different style. Not everybody learns or does the same way. So flexible. But I tend to be focused on the goals and successes to make sure that the outcomes to what you're working for has an end purpose. So I think that's where I would be.
And Tammy?
I think I'll start off with protective. Of the folks that I'm leading, I'm very protective of. I want to make sure that they are that they're comfortable and they're protected in doing the job that they need to get to where we got to go, where we have to be there. So I am a mother hen. Many of you have probably met me and heard me say that I'm a mother hen. So protective would be a good one. Thinking outside the box. I love thinking outside the box. You give me a box with no corners and I know we've got a circle, but we have to think outside that way. And as getting into the leadership aspect of it, when guys see a fire and they're going to put it out, ladies say, okay, what caused the fire? How do we not do this again? Now we got it taken care of. It won't happen again. And we're taking care of the process. So that's kind of where I learned the outside the box thing. And communication. A good friend of ours has taught me communication is the key to everything. And so the more that you can get people communicating, and it may take repeating it 4 or 5 times for some ears for it to land, but it's okay. You know that you're communicating it that way.
Hence the reason I needed her to be my vice president.
Absolutely.
That was a great choice, Anne.
Absolutely. So now some specific questions. Cheryl, you've been a nurse and we were just talking about taking care of people. And how do you use your experience, your long experience as a nurse in leading the Bayou Gulf chapter?
Well, I gleaned some nursing skills throughout the years. Accountability was one of them. And I stress that a lot, you're the buck stops here kind of attitude, not somebody else didn't do what they were supposed to do. So accountability, resiliency that we have spoken about this whole seminar, and then problem solving. As a nurse, you really have to be able to walk into as a patient and say, okay, this is what we're going to do today, and and get them on your side, get them on your team, that's what we're going to do. So that problem solving in reference to, don't let it someone else be to blame.
So accountability, problem solving,
And resiliency.
and resilience. Anne, you've been a leader in PVA and a leader maker. What do you think that as a leader in PVA, what do you find is the most challenging for our women veterans member? When women veterans make up just a little less than 10% of all PVA members, and probably this similar in other organizations. But what do you think the challenges are?
That's one of the biggest challenges that we faced, is finding our voice. We're such a, first, we're spread out all over the country. If you look at this, but as you just said, we're only 10%. We're such a small little group amongst the whole big thing. And in order to get our voices out there, to have the VA hear us, or to have Capitol Hill hear us, or everything else, I think that's been the biggest challenge that we face. To figure out how to unify and come together. This is the biggest platform. This has been amazing. So I don't think it's going to be a challenge for us too much else in the future, but getting people to know who we are and knowing our needs, getting our voice out there has been the biggest challenge. So.
Right. So getting our identity out there.
Yes.
And Tammy, you serve as PVA's one of 5 vice presidents of PVA. I know we're an organization that has a lot of vice presidents, but they all have important roles. Do you think there are different expectations of you than there are for the male vice presidents in PVA? And if so, what are they?
That would be a yes.
All right, thanks, Cheryl. My first thought would be no, and in that Senior VP Brown told me, just be you. That's who they elected. When the board heard your election speech, and that, they said they elected you on that. And then it's like, I don't know if it so much if in the beginning it was their expectations, if it was my own expectations were such that, yes, they're expecting difference, expecting something different of me. Partly because, there have been other women VPs in the past. We've had 2 or 3 in the past. It's the consistency of having a woman's perspective at this level that is different. The book by Barbara Annison and John Gray, Work With Me, the 8 blind spots for men and women in business. I devoured that book at least 4 times when I got elected, because it was, again, blind spots. Guys see things one way, women see things another. And how am I gonna bridge that gap? I rolled in the tracks of Joe Fox. My vice presidency came at, when Mr. Fox was rolling, it stepped aside. So those were some tremendous tracks to roll in right there. And I was like, okay, what would Joe do? How would Joe handle this? Because as VPs, we each get 8 chapters. And so we have to go and relate and work with those chapters. So I was like, okay, fortunately I had Joe's outline from that to help with that part. But then it's like, no, you're Tammy. You find what works for you and reach out and talk to these chapters individually. And then we got together, and we talked about the Anita Bloom Committee. And then all of a sudden the focus is on women veterans. And it's like, but I didn't want to be a woman veteran. You know, I want to be a VP kind of thing. You know, I don't want to be shrouded in pink back here, you know, where that kind of thing. And, but then it's like, no, Tammy, what did you say before? Own what you do, own who you are. And that's what we do. You know, so as long as you stay true and I stay true to what I want for the organization, I think the expectations are such, we trust you, you know, the board and the organization says, we trust you, go do it. So does that answer it?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
If
that
you
was
all
a
have
yes, no
questions
answer.
for these ladies, I'd be glad for you to put them in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll try to answer them. But I'd like for you each to just take a moment or two and tell us, or tell women that might be participating today who have thought about leadership roles, but haven't taken that step or that role into leadership in our organization or in some other organization. What would I hate to use the term advice, but what would your suggestions for some steps be? You want to start that off, Anne?
Oh, yes. Okay, thanks. You know, it can be intimidating to put your foot out there, to raise the hand, say, I'll take on the challenge. It's, you know, you don't see anybody else doing it and you're kind of like, what am I going to get myself into? But, you know, it's to take the step and to go, don't do it half-heartedly, put yourself all the way into it. That's what I would say first off is, if you're going to do it all the way, and find somebody else who's done it already and get their advice, or, you know, make sure you have somebody to reach out to, because there was people before us, and, you know, I've had a couple of people who helped me and tremendously. So take the leap, make sure your heart's into it, and find somebody that'll help you, and don't doubt your capabilities, because you get in there and people will question, or you might have don't doubt yourself, just keep going. So
Cheryl?
I'd say, no, don't be afraid is the number one thing. Don't let I don't know how to do it hold you back, because you do know how to do it. You just haven't acknowledged it to yourself yet. I'd like to say, in reference to choosing or moving through leadership, is to, for example, you're in a program and the program director seems to be overwhelmed. You know, go up and ask, is there anything I can take over under your supervision? And that could be the first step for you to do.
Great idea. And Tammy?
First off, I'd say, make a list of your strengths. What can you offer the organization you want to go in and you want to help? You know your strengths, and then find a committee or a position that you can put those strengths to work in. And as you work those strengths, you build the confidence. And as you build the confidence, you'll start to see other avenues that you can help the organization grow in other positions. And as Cheryl said, and Anne and Melissa said earlier, just do it. Just, don't let the fear stop you. Just step out there and find it and go for it. You won't know until you try. And, you may have what I tried to share with Anna and I tried to share with the Texas chapter was, you may have a strength or a connection, a relatability to another member that nobody else has. So you may have a strength or a voice or a phrase that will make it click for somebody else, that will bring them in and help them move on along. So recognize your strengths and go for it and run.
So 2 questions for you, Tammy. One, what is the name and the author of the book that you mentioned?
Oh, all right. I'll say it slowly this time. I get so excited about the book that I just run through it. I wrote it down. So it's called Work With Me: The 8 Blind Spots Between Men and Women in Business. And it's by Barbara Annis and John Gray. Y'all may recognize John Gray from Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus books. So he got together with Barbara Annis, which does a lot of business books. And so together they put together the differences between men and women in business and how to make it work. So.
And the other question that Beverly had was, Tammy, why did you have a reservation about working with women veteran, with a women? Let me start this over. Tammy, why did you have a reservation about working with the Women Veteran Project initially?
Oh, this is a personal thing. This is, for the longest time growing up, I didn't want to be a secretary. I didn't want to be anything that was the quote unquote girly girl thing, you know. So and then my idea, you know, initially when coming into PVA, it's like, I've got to be on target, I got to be on mission, I got to, you know, I got to do this part of it. It's all members. You know, if we start to focus away from the women veteran, if we start to focus on just women veterans, then they're not going to see that I can bring more to the organization beside just this. So I probably didn't phrase that quite the way I should have, but it was just, I didn't want, we as women, members of the organization, can bring a lot to our organization. We're tremendous leaders. You know, we can bring a wider perspective for certain things. And so I just didn't want us to get caught in just the women veterans aspect of things. We bring more to the table than that.
Anne or Cheryl, do you have anything to add as we finish up?
Just to go on to this is Anne, just to go on top of Tammy, I did, yes, when to get involved at the national level was very intimidating because the amount of women you could count on one hand. So so the challenge was to not overwhelm the male population, to think we were only in this just for us, but the whole organization over a whole. And I will tell you that everyone has been so supportive and moving forward on this and allowing us to find the voice for the women veterans of the organization, that we've come a long way in the last 2 or 3 years, and with the support of the staff and everybody else. So very grateful for that and looking forward to making this platform even bigger. So that's what yeah.
Cheryl? Mute.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Cheryl.
You're still on mute, Cheryl.
Thank you.
There you go.
Like I said before, it's a matter of you know, what you want to do and how far you want to go in this organization. PVA is very supportive. Even the older guys, you know, at first, you know, the little boys club, as I called it, you had to break through the barrier of the boys club. And once we did that, right, Ann?
Exactly, yes, Cheryl.
Once we did that, it was all uphill from there. And
Good.
it plateaued. It plateaued, and now they don't think we can just do girl things.
Yeah, they trust us.
They
Well,
do.
Cheryl, Ms. Vines, if I could say, you know,
Sure.
we've got there's multiple committees that our lady members can be a part of. You know, we've got the field advisory committees, which you know, they go out and they visit the websites, as Anna Dare said earlier. She is a tremendous leader, you know, in our organization. somebody
Yes, he is.
to follow from and learn from. What her and the Colonial chapter are doing with their membership is phenomenal. And the Judicial Committee, the Audit Committee, the Budget Committee, Cheryl with the Research and Education, both of y'all on Research and Education. There's a lot of good opportunities that our ladies, can be a part of, and that's what we would really like for them to do in the future. If anyone is interested in joining one of those committees or to be on the waiting list to be on one of those committees, please contact us at pvawomen@pva.org. That's one of our main email website, our main email address for the issues of if any of our women members have issues and you need to get it to us quickly, pvawomen@pva.org. And that's how we link it up. So I forgot where I was going with that. I'm just trying to get so much. I think
you got it. So thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for helping us close out these 2 days of empowerment. All of you out there, we hope that these days you've found empowerment, you found things that you can take home, things that you wrote down yesterday, and ideas and advice that you can incorporate into your lives. We encourage you to use this information. We encourage you to take opportunities for leadership in PVA or in other organizations. The Anita Bloom Committee will continue to advocate for women veterans, for their rights, for their access to health care, and to our worlds. We look forward to working with you. And one of the best things that you can do to help our organization right now, or our committee right now, is to fill out the survey at the end of this this event. Tell us what was useful to you. Tell us what wasn't useful. Tell us what you would like to hear in the future. If you want to have more webinars, if you want to have smaller groups, if we could provide more written information or resources, those are the kinds of things that we need to know. The examples of places where you as a woman feel like you're not having access to the care and the services that you need. Those are the things that we need to know to help move the agenda, change the parameters, and make sure that women in VA healthcare and in women veterans get all of the services that you fought so hard for in your service time. In April of 2021, the last week in April of 2021, God willing, we will host our second Women's Veteran Empowerment Retreat. It will be in Tempe, Arizona. A lot of opportunities similar to today, added to some sports opportunities, some recreation opportunities, some opportunities to actually have face-to-face interaction with other women who have your similar experiences. If you're interested in attending the retreat, it's limited to about 40 women. Registration's now open, and you'll find information both on the mobile app and also on the PVA website. We would love to see you there. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. And I'll turn this back over to Marissa with my thanks to her for all the work that she's done to make this seminar so successful. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you everyone for attending today. As Cheryl said, we'd love to hear from you. So please be sure to complete our feedback surveys that you will be emailed. But thank you so much for attending, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.